Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And Monday Night Raw tonight, of course, was from the Performance Center, PC in Orlando. And Monday Night Raw tonight, my God, this show was fucking terrible. This show was god-awful. And with tonight's show, welcome to the Bruce Prichard era of Monday Night Raw, where he's going to be behind Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, since Paul Heyman was no more in the creative for Monday Night Raw. But the show was absolutely god-awful. This show was hard to sit through tonight. I was like, oh, is it 10 o'clock? Is it 11 o'clock yet? But that's how bad this show was tonight. But overall, let's get on with the Monday Night Raw review. If you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier, I reviewed The King of Staten Island. So definitely go check out my review of the film if you haven't checked it out. But let's get on with the Monday Night Raw review. So Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Randy Orton. Randy Orton came out. He got in the ring. He ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up saying that he beat Edge and humiliated him last night at Backlash. He ended up saying that he wrote the final chapter in his redemption. Orton ended up saying that he also gave Edge closure. So, and Edge, after the match last night, it was revealed that he has a torn tricep, and he's going to be out, I think, 6 to 8 months. So there you go with Edge being out. So Orton ended up saying that when he first saw Edge return earlier this year, he knew this was coming. And he ended up saying that Edge had to just trust him. He said the same way he trusted Edge years ago. So Orton ended up saying that he was not the last man standing at WrestleMania. And he ended up saying, but here he is after the greatest wrestling match ever. And he ended up saying that makes him the best. And he doesn't need a title to prove it. So Orton ended up saying what he does need to do is thanks to Edge. He ended up saying that Edge's triceps tear. He ended up saying that he knew when the injury happened and that he kept going when he could have stopped, so he could send Edge home to be with his family. And Orton ended up saying that he knows Edge isn't here because he's in some hospital while doctors try to reattach the muscle to the bone. So then Randy Orton ended up saying that Edge has another mountain to climb. And Randy Orton said that he hopes to hell he reaches it. Orton then went on to say that he hears Edge will be cleared in July 2029. So Orton ended up taunting Edge for being out another 9 years. And then Orton got interrupted by Edge's best friend, Christian. So Christian made an appearance tonight. Good to see Christian. So Christian ended up calling Randy Orton a son of a bitch. He ended up saying that he's known Edge all his life, and that Edge isn't done, and that he doesn't quit. He ended up saying that he will be back, and that he's going to kick Orton's ass, meaning Edge. So Orton ended up firing back at Christian, and he ended up saying that Christian is just jealous. Orton ended up saying that he knows that Christian wants just one more match. Christian ended up denying it, and that he's just here for his friend Edge. So Orton went on about how the ring was taken away from Christian before he was ready to say goodbye. Orton ended up saying that he knows Christian isn't medically cleared to compete, but he has a way around that. So Orton proposes that both him and Christian go at it in an unsanctioned match later on tonight. Orton ended up saying that the offer expires at the end of the night. And he ended up saying that if Christian doesn't accept, then that proves what everyone already knows. That Christian is nothing but a coward. And so that's how the segment ended. But this was a good opening to Monday Night Raw with Randy Orton opening it up. It was good to see Christian back. But like I said, good opening to Monday Night Raw. So then we had, after that, Charlie Caruso was backstage with Angel Garza and Zelina Vega. Charlie Caruso ended up saying that she knows what happened at Backlash with Apollo Crews retaining over Andrade. And that Kevin Owens ended up stopping Angel Garza from the title win. Zelina Vega ended up saying that no one cost anyone else the title. So Angel Garza ended up interrupted by putting his arm around her. And Garza ended up trying to help Andrade. Garza ended up going on about letting go and how he can't understand the heartbreak. He ended up saying that they feel for Andrade and Kevin Owens. So Vega ended up saying that Garza has to prove it in a match with Kevin Owens. So Garza was shown flirting, ended up asking Charlie Caruso if he can have a special interview once he beats Andrade. So Andrade was shown walking up. They both ended up shaking hands. And Andrade ended up saying that he hopes Garza ends up beating Kevin Owens. But if he doesn't, he hopes Garza can deal with the disappointment. So Andrade ended up walking off, and we just saw Garza and Vega just stunned. And that was basically that. And then we had Kevin Owens versus Angel Garza, which the match itself, it was okay. And the match started off with both Owens and Garza going at it. And Zelina Vega was on the other side of the ring. We had Andrade out there. And Andrade and Garza was arguing at ringside. Zelina Vega ended up yelling at them to stop arguing. And she ended up saying to the both of them that she is tired of this. So Zelina Vega was shown walking off to the back, and Andrade and Garza end up looking on, watching Zelina Vega go to the back. And at the end of the match, you had Kevin Owens delivering the stunner to Garza. So there you go. Kevin Owens ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had Andrade and Garza still arguing. Zelina Vega ends up coming back out, tells the both of them to stop. And basically, that was that. But overall, match was okay between Garza and Owens. Looks like we're going to be leading to a Andrade versus Garza match. By the looks of it, with them arguing. So it looks like we're going to be seeing that soon. But who knows? Maybe Andrade might become a babyface. And then we had MVP. MVP was backstage. He was talking with Bobby Lashley. And he ends up giving Lashley his word that, if they keep on, he will have everything that he wants. So Zahra Schreiber walks up and gets an interview from Bobby Lashley. MVP then ends up snapping at Zahra Schreiber, saying that this is a private conversation. And he ends up telling her to go back to journalism school and ask how dare she interrupt them. So Lashley ended up saying they are in the middle of a strategic discussion for tonight's tag team match against R-Truth and Drew McIntyre. So Zahra Schreiber ended up going on. MVP ended up interrupting her again. And he ended up saying that Backlash didn't work out how they wanted. And so MVP ended up saying they're about to address that, both him and Bobby Lashley. So that was basically that. So we had a tag team match between MVP and Bobby Lashley versus R-Truth and Drew McIntyre later on in the night. So then Bobby Lashley and MVP made their way out to the ring. MVP got in the ring with same as Bobby Lashley. MVP ended up getting on the mic, and he was praising Bobby Lashley, saying that Lashley should be our WWE champion. He ended up saying that Drew McIntyre had the gall to capitalize on unfortunate circumstances with Lina, who is thirsty. And that, she just comes down to the ring for that thirst for the spotlight. So MVP ended up saying that this is exclusively Lana's fault, that Lashley doesn't have the WWE Championship around him. He ended up saying that if McIntyre had integrity, he would have given Lashley a rematch. And he ended up saying, but instead, he chooses to stand behind another man's wife. So Lana ended up coming out. She got on the mic, and Lana ended up saying that it was MVP's stupid idea to ban her from ringside. She ended up saying that she knows her Bobby would never hurt him, and that she put her career ahead of his. And Lana even said that she even got a divorce for her Bobby. So Lana went on about how everything, good that Lashley has been, getting came from her. And she ended up saying that it got screwed when MVP showed up. So MVP ended up firing back at Lana, calls her a thought, and Lana ended up yelling back, and she ended up telling MVP to never talk like that again. She ended up calling MVP a snake. So the both of them were arguing about who is better for Lashley. So Lana ended up telling MVP to show her some respect when he talks to her, because she is a woman. And so Lana ended up saying that they were on a hot streak, her and Lashley. And Lashley ends up saying, we? And Lashley ended up asking, when was the last time Lana laced up her boots? Or did anything that wasn't for likes on social media? So Lashley ended up going on and says that Backlash was his night. But Lana made it all about her. And she ruined it for him. Lashley ended up saying that he's sick and tired of Lana putting their private life on social media. He ended up saying that Lana put their sex tape out there so she could become someone famous. So Lana ended up saying that if she wanted to use her sex life for fame, she would have slept with someone actually famous. And she was like, oh, maybe I should have slept with McIntyre. So Lashley ended up interrupting, and he ended up telling Lana that he wants a divorce. Thank God. Thank God this storyline is going to be over, because this storyline ended up going nowhere with Lashley and Lana. And this whole fucking thing was absolutely terrible. This whole segment, absolutely fucking terrible. Did not even care for it. God awful. So moving on. Zahra Schreiber. She was backstage with the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. And she ended up asking them if they have a plan for this rivalry to come to an end. Montez Ford ended up talking about how they came together at Backlash. And I'm like, why did they come together when they're supposed to be feuding? Well, the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits. They were, feuding together. And now they're coming together for this, they're coming together, for this whole shit. So Angelo Dawkins ended up saying that they have to be thinking big picture for the rivalry. So now we had Akira Tozawa and his ninjas that we saw last night at Backlash come. So these ninjas didn't have their motorcycles. Tozawa ended up wanting to be in the sequel, but they were not interested. So Tozawa ended up summoning the Giant Ninja again. We saw the Giant Ninja last night, of course, at Backlash. And this Giant Ninja, I could sense that is Titus O'Neil from the eyes and from the look. So Tozawa ended up laughing, and the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits stare the Giant Ninja down. Eric wanted to attack, but Ivar and Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins end up holding him back, and they end up saying that it's not worth it. So Tozawa and the ninjas, end up leaving. Like, this is fucking terrible. More garbage with this. And then the garbage still continued, because we had the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits teaming up to take on Akira Tozawa and his ninjas. This was an 8-man tag. Garbage. Fucking garbage. The Viking Raiders and the Street Profits end up winning. Post-match, Tozawa ended up entering the ring with the Giant Ninja. And the Giant Ninja was standing in front of Tozawa, ready for a fight. So the two teams get in the huddle, the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits, and they end up saying that they want the smoke. And so out came the Big Show. What year is it? What year is it? The Big Show comes out. It's 2020. And the Big Show is here. So the Big Show comes out. He's attacked by Tozawa's ninjas as he enters the ring. Big Show fights off the ninjas with headbutts and choke slams. And Big Show ends up dropping another ninja with the KO punch. And Tozawa and his Giant Ninja end up watching from the floor. That was that. This was fucking garbage. Oh, man. Where is this storyline leading to? Absolutely fucking nothing. Yeah, and this is the state of the tag team division, folks. This is the state of the Monday Night Raw tag team division. Fucking garbage. It's a disgrace. So then we had Charlie Caruso. Charlie Caruso ended up approaching Seth Rollins backstage. Rollins ended up saying that he knows Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic, is here, against his father's wishes. He ended up saying that he's glad Dominic is here, and that he needs Dominic. And Rollins ended up saying that he can feel that Dominic is here. So Rollins was shown headed to the ring to deliver a message to Dominic and Rey. And, there was the text message that leaked out earlier today, because one of the articles reported Mysterio wanted to know if his son landed in Orlando for Monday Night Raw, and showed like the text message between him and Dominic. And then we saw Christian backstage. He was on the phone. He ended up saying that he knows all the risks involved with possibly fighting Randy Orton. He ended up saying that he's not sure what he's going to do yet, but he also doesn't know if he can let Orton get away with this. Christian ended up saying that he's got to go, and he ends up hanging up the phone. So Tom Phillips ended up announcing that Orton chose an unsanctioned match. So WWE can't be held liable for anything that happens. So that was that. So then we went to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins ended up coming to the ring. He ended up getting on the mic. And he ended up saying that last week he invited Rey Mysterio to Monday Night Raw, so they could clear the air of this situation. So Rollins ended up saying that Ray is a hero, and he did sacrifice himself for the greater good of Raw, and that is the truth. He ended up saying Ray ended up declining his invitation, and that Ray took the coward's way out, and that he didn't want to show up and have a conversation with him. He ended up saying, but fortunately, his son Dominic has made his way to Monday Night Raw on behalf of the Mysterio family. And then we see Rey Mysterio. He ends up interrupting. He was shown on the screen. Rollins ended up interrupting Ray, and he ended up saying that it's good to hear him. Ray ended up saying that he didn't know Dominic was on his way to Raw. He ended up saying that he can't stop Dominic, but he does know what Seth is capable of, and that this is Rollins' one warning. So Rollins ended up acting like he would never hurt Dominic, and that he wants to help him, but not hurt him. Rollins ended up telling Ray to do his fatherly duties for once in his life. He ended up saying that he wants to help Dominic, but he needs Ray to help him help his son. He ended up saying that he needs Ray to convince Dominic to join Rollins' theory and Murphy for the greater good. So Ray ended up speaking in Spanish, and he ended up saying that Dominic will never join Seth Rollins under no circumstances. So Rollins ended up saying that if that's the case, Ray is leaving him with little options. He ended up saying that Buddy Murphy and Theory are out looking for Dominic. And when they bring him here, if he's part of the problem and not the solution, then Dominic must be sacrificed. Ray ended up saying that if Seth and his goons touch his son, he will end Seth Rollins. So Rollins ended up hearing Rey Mysterio clear. Rollins ended up going on and says that Dominic is an adult and that he gets to make his own decisions. He says he can stand next to Seth on the right side of history, or he can make the choice that Ray made and become a sacrifice as well. So Ray ended up telling Seth to stay away from Dominic. Rollins was still on his knees, and he ends up thanking Ray. And so then we see Dominic sneaks into the ring behind Seth Rollins, and Dominic then attacks Rollins. Dominic then sent Rollins out and face first into the barricade. Buddy Murphy and Austin Theory came out, and Dominic ended up taking Buddy Murphy out, and he then escaped into the crowd to retreat away from Seth Rollins, Murphy, and Theory. So Rollins was on the outside. He was throwing a fit as Dominic ended up retreating to the back. And Rollins was just livid. He was upset in the ring. And pretty much that was basically that. But really enjoying this whole storyline between Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. You know, this is decent stuff here. It's the only thing that's interesting going on Monday Night Raw. This whole storyline. Then we had R-Truth. R-Truth ended up approaching MVP and Bobby Lashley backstage. R-Truth ended up joking about Lashley losing at Backlash and his troubles, of course, with Lana. So they end up asking, MVP and Bobby Lashley end up asking if Truth can back this up. And he says, of course he can. So R-Truth ends up running away after both MVP and Lashley threaten him. So MVP and Lashley were hunting R-Truth, and they end up finding him, and Drew McIntyre shows up. And MVP ended up wanting the champs, R-Truth and Drew McIntyre, to put their titles on the line in the tag team match. So Drew McIntyre agrees, and he makes this a winner takes all match. And Truth ends up interrupting and accepts the challenge first, and he was annoying McIntyre. So R-Truth ended up joking that he can be Truth 2 belts before the night is over. So that was that. You know, you gotta love R-Truth. You know, I don't like the Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title that's around him, which I think it's garbage. They should fucking get rid of it. I don't know why WWE is still keeping this title around. Should have been retired already. It's pointless. And so then we had the IIconics versus Liv Morgan and Natalya. Garbage, boring. Payne Royce and Billie Kay end up winning the match. They end up doing a double team on Liv Morgan. So the IIconics end up winning. Post-match, the IIconics end up getting on the mic, and they end up addressing Sasha and Bayley. They say they hope they were watching. They hope Sasha and Bayley were watching. And they end up saying, this is what happens when they face one tag team. So Payne Royce and Billie Kay issue a challenge for a title match later on in the night. So they end up calling out Sasha and Bayley. They both didn't come out. Billie Kay ends up calling both Sasha and Bayley cowards. And pretty much that was basically what happened post-match, though. But a garbage match between them and Liv Morgan and Natalya. Liv Morgan was thrown into the storyline with Lina and Bobby Lashley that went nowhere. She ended up losing to Charlotte, and look where she's at now. Sad. Absolutely sad for Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan deserves better. So then we had the Big Show. Big Show was backstage. He was talking to Christian about Randy Orton. Big Show isn't trying to talk to Christian out of the Unsanctioned Match. Big Show was just trying to make Christian aware of the facts about Randy Orton. Big Show ended up telling Christian that he doesn't trust Orton, but he knows he would erase the smile off his face if he were Christian. And Big Show ended up saying that Christian needs to accept or tell Orton now is not the time. And Christian ended up saying that he knows what he's got to do. So that was that. Then we went to Apollo Crews versus Shelton Benjamin. This was a short match. Match sucked. Apollo Crews ended up winning. So this was an easy win for Apollo Crews. Then we had Akira Tozawa. He was showing his he was with some of his ninjas. He ended up approaching R-Truth in the back. One of the ninjas was dressed as a referee. Tozawa was speaking in Japanese. And Truth ended up saying that if that's how Tozawa wants it, he can get it. So Truth ended up threatening to crane kick the Ninjas and Tozawa. And they all backed off. And Drew McIntyre ended up appearing. Truth thinks it's because of him. McIntyre ended up saying that, says Truth accepting the challenge back there was out of order. So McIntyre ended up asking Truth that if he understands the seriousness of the situation, and that him and Truth could both lose their titles to, MVP or Bobby Lashley. So Truth ended up saying that he understands and he knows what to do. So that was basically that, but garbage that we saw here. So Charlie Caruso was backstage with Asuka. She was interviewing Asuka. Asuka ended up speaking in Japanese. And she then said that Nia Jax started all this. And that she will finish it. And so we had a rematch. Asuka versus Nia Jax with the Raw Women's Championship on the line. Because the match last night at Backlash went to a double countout. So then we saw R-Truth. R-Truth ended up catching up with McIntyre in the back. And he spoke with the powers that be. And he ended up saying now the only title that will be on the line in their match will be the WWE Championship. So McIntyre was frustrated. R-Truth was just plain dumb. And McIntyre ended up saying that he can now lose his title if Truth gets pinned in the match. And Truth ended up saying that he just needs someone to believe in him. So he ended up asking McIntyre to trust him. And so that was that. So then we had the match. R-Truth and Drew McIntyre versus MVP and Bobby Lashley. WWE Championship match on the line. And before that match, I forgot to mention the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders were backstage. They were trying to figure out what's next for their rivalry. And they ended up suggesting a chariot race for next week. Oh, God help us all. So Big Show ended up appearing, ended up saying that he's enjoyed their feud. Who would enjoy this feud between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders? This feud is absolutely fucking terrible. So they end up suggesting, oh, maybe carpool karaoke. And Big Show was like, no carpool karaoke. He never wants to see the Viking Raiders do carpool karaoke again. Hell, I don't even want to see it either. So Big Show ended up suggesting that they have a title match on Monday Night Raw next week. So Big Show ended up saying that he has all the answers, they say. So Big Show ends up dancing around, and he gets the Viking Raiders and the Street Profits to do the same, and they get a "We want the smoke" chant. And that was that. Don't even care. Don't even fucking care about this rivalry between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. This whole rivalry is fucking terrible. It's making the Raw Tag Team Championships look like a joke. So back to Bobby Lashley and MVP versus R-Truth and Drew McIntyre. WWE Championship was on the line. This match was garbage. McIntyre and Truth end up winning the match. McIntyre, with him winning, retains the WWE Championship, where we had McIntyre end up helping launch R-Truth from the top, and R-Truth end up jumping from the top onto MVP, goes and pins MVP, and that was that. But this whole thing was pointless. So then we had Christian. He was backstage with Ric Flair. Good to see Ric Flair. Ric Flair ended up believing Christian isn't ready for this fight with Randy Orton tonight. He ended up saying that he knows why Christian is doing it, however. So Ric Flair ended up warning Christian about how Randy Orton is. So Flair ended up telling Christian to not get hurt. Christian ended up telling Ric Flair that he can let Orton get away with what he said, and he'll be fine out there. He says he appreciates Flair's concern, and he respects Flair. And so that was pretty much basically that. So then after that, we had the Women's Tag Team Champions, Sasha Banks and Bayley, which, happy birthday to Bayley, because today is Bayley's birthday. So both of them came out, they got on the mic, and they mentioned their win last night at Backlash. And Bayley ended up saying that they have much more to celebrate, and that today is her birthday. So Bayley ended up saying that they figured they would do a whole birthday celebration week, beginning tonight on Monday Night Raw, then NXT on Wednesday, where Sasha and Bayley is going to take on Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart. They will defend the Women's Tag Team Championships against them. And then Bayley ended up saying that they will bring it back home for SmackDown on Friday. So Sasha ended up addressing Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, ended up saying that they better never tell them when they will defend the titles. And then out came Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. Billie Kay and Peyton Royce ended up saying that no one wants to hear about their week, and that they want to hear an answer to the challenge that Peyton Royce and Billie Kay announced earlier. So Sasha and Bayley remind the IIconics that they lost last night at Backlash, and that they don't believe tonight's quick win counts for anything. So the IIconics end up teasing them for having a meltdown last year when the IIconics end up beating them for the titles at WrestleMania last year. So Peyton Royce and Billie Kay end up saying that Sasha and Bayley couldn't handle the pressure then, and that they damn sure can't now. So Sasha end up yelling about pressure, and Bayley starts yelling about the IIconics ruining her birthday, and she ends up accepting the challenge. And Sasha ends up holding her cheek. The IIconics end up going up the ramp, taunting Sasha and Bayley. And Tom Phillips end up saying that we will wait and see if the match is made official. So basically that was that. So Tom Phillips then announced, or Byron Saxton ended up confirming that Rey Mysterio will be on Monday Night Raw next week. He will make an appearance. So there you go. We got Rey Mysterio coming on Monday Night Raw next week. So then we went to the Raw Women's Championship match. Nia Jax versus Asuka. Rematch from Backlash last night. This match was okay, in my opinion. It was back and forth between the both of them. Asuka ended up winning the match by rolling up Nia Jax. There was a point where Nia Jax ends up screaming at John Cone because Nia Jax ended up delivering a Samoan drop to Asuka. And Asuka's foot was under the bottom rope. So Nia Jax ended up screaming at John Cone, the referee. She ends up getting in his face. Jax ended up shoving him. And John Cone ends up getting up. And he goes on about how she crossed the line. So Asuka ended up taking advantage. Rolls up Nia Jax. The referee, I guess, was going to call for the bell. But he had another thing in mind where he just ended up counting. Made a fast pin count. And there you go. Asuka ended up winning, retaining the Raw Women's Championship. And that was basically that. But the match itself, it was okay. So then we had Charlie Caruso. She ended up approaching Randy Orton backstage. And he interrupts her question on the Unsanctioned Match, which was the main event. Orton ended up asking Charlie Caruso if she thinks Christian is a legend. She said, absolutely. Orton ended up saying, for what it's worth, he thinks Christian is a legend. So Orton was like, now do you know what unsanctioned means? Orton ended up saying that it means no rules, no regulations. And he ended up saying unsanctioned means that in a few short minutes, the legend of Christian will be destroyed. He ended up saying that the legend of Christian will be destroyed by the three most destructive letters in sports entertainment. And that is RKO. So that was that. And then we had the match. The match is announced for next week. So it's going to be the Viking Raiders versus the Street Profits. And it's going to be Payne Royce and Billie Kay versus Sasha and Bayley. So both of those matches are confirmed for Monday Night Raw next week. And then we had the main event. Christian versus Randy Orton in the Unsanctioned Match. So both Christian and Orton was in the ring. And the match was going to get underway. But Ric Flair's music ended up hidden. Flair ended up making his way down to the ring. Flair was trying to talk Christian out of doing the match. And I'm like, something's going to happen here. Is Flair going to betray Christian? So Flair ended up saying that he just talked to Edge. And he said, this isn't cool. That he wants Christian to just let it go. And for Orton to cut him some slack. So Christian ended up taking the mic from Flair. And he ended up telling him that he has to do this. So the referee ended up ringing the bell. And right from there, we see Ric Flair ends up low blowing Christian. And I'm like, right there, I'm like, I'm not surprised. Because when Flair ended up coming out I was like, oh yeah, Flair is gonna do something to Christian. He's gonna, become a heel. So Ric Flair ended up low blowing Christian, and Orton ended up nailing the punk kick to Christian, just like how he did to Edge last night at Backlash. And so Christian was face down on the mat. Orton ended up turning Christian over, and he ended up covering Christian. There you go. Randy Orton ended up winning the match, but this whole thing was pointless. This unsanctioned match was very pointless. Post-match, Orton ended up telling Christian that he's sorry and that he didn't want this to happen, that he didn't want to put an end to Christian like he did with Edge. So he was yelling and asking Christian why he's here. Randy Orton. He was yelling that at Christian. So two medics end up hitting the ring. Orton ends up telling them to take Christian out, but to take good care of him. So Christian was then loaded onto the gurney into a neck brace. And Orton was talking more about why he didn't want to do this and that this was all Christian's fault. Orton ended up saying that he finished the last chapter of Edge's story, and now he had to do the same for Christian. He ended up saying that he couldn't just let Christian destroy or interrupt his livelihood. So Orton ended up standing back up, apologizing again, and so he ended up telling the medics to take Christian away on the gurney, on the stretcher. And then Monday Night Raw went off the air as Orton was smiling at Christian on the stretcher. And that was that. And that was Monday Night Raw tonight. Absolutely fucking garbage show. This whole show was terrible. Anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And I'll definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And tomorrow I got a unboxing video coming up. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. So until that video, I'll see you all later.